Hello, my dear friends. When I was a young boy, I davened in the Yom Forest Hills. That was my father-in-law, Hashem shul. And I remember in the Yom Kippur davening, there was one part that intrigued me. The Kacha Yamona. This is how he counted this, referring to the Cohen Gadol. When he would sprinkle the blood, he would go into the Kodesh Kadosh and he would sprinkle the blood in the direction of the Aron. Once a year, he could go into the Holy of Holies. The Kacha Yamona. This is how he counted. He sprinkled 8 times, and he counted like this: Achas v'achas, 1 and 1. Achas v'shtayim, 1 and 2. Achas v'shalosh, 1 and 3. Achas v'arba, 1 and 4. What is this? What's this 1 and 2? 1 and 2. So when I got older, I found out. The Gemara explains, the Mishnayos explained, that he would sprinkle the blood 1 time up, and then 7 times down. And each time he would sprinkle, he had to count. First he counted achas, 1 time up, and then achas, 1 time down. And then when he did the second time, he would say achas. He wouldn't sprinkle again, but he would recount again. That he sprinkled 1 up, and now 2 down. 1 up, and 3 down. So the question is, why does he have to repeat over again? 1 up. It was 4. He just has to count. 1 up, and now 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. So Gemara says 2 explanations. One is because it's hard. He could easily get confused. So if he intersperses each time he counts, he adds the word achas, so it's easier for him to focus. That's Rabbi Yochanan's explanation. Rabbi Elazar says that we derive this from a pasuk. It's exeris because it's halacha. The Torah doesn't say the reason that he has to count. And if he doesn't say achas v'achas achshav, if he doesn't mention each time he sprinkles, if he doesn't say that I'm now sprinkling 1 and 1 or 1 and 2 or 1 and 3, then he has to do it over again. He's not yotzei. So the question is, why? What's the logic behind it that he has to count 1 and 1, 1 and 2? So I want to offer 2 explanations. The first explanation is, Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, my great Rabbi, I remember he used to say often that repetition is the enemy of inspiration, because when you do things over and over again, you lose feeling. He would point out, he would quote from the Chassid Yavitz, the Cohen Gadol was only allowed to go into the Holy of Holies 1 time a year. Al Yovo b'chol Eisel HaKodesh. He's not allowed to go the whole year, only 1 time on Yom Kippur. So the question is, why? Wouldn't it be better if he could go all the time? It's so inspiring to go to the base. On Yom Kippur, he went into the Kachim and into the Kachi Kadashim. Why couldn't he go more often? So the Chassid Yavitz says, because then he would lose the inspiration. Once a year, that was such an enormously powerful experience, so profound and impactful. But if he would do it over and over again, it wouldn't mean anything. I remember when the first time I went to the Kosel Rabbi, when I was in Eretz Yisrael in 1970, I was 20 years old. As I was walking towards the Kosel, and I was up on top and walking on the road on the side by the wall, the Choma around Yerushalayim, and I saw in the distance the Kosel. I started crying, and that was the only time I cried when I saw the Kosel. And each time I go to the Kosel, I wish I could recapture the feeling, a special feeling of seeing the Kosel the first time that I had. I remember the first time I put on tefillin when I was bar mitzvah. And today happens to be my bar mitzvah. Zayin Adar is my birthday. Zayin Adar, the first time, I put on tefillin 30 days before, but the first time I put on tefillin, wow, what a powerful experience. But when you do it over and over again, repetition, that destroys the feeling. So I was thinking, why is it that the Cohen Gadol, he sprinkles 1 time up and 7 times down? Why can't he sprinkle all the times up? So I was thinking, because the first time is the most inspiring moment. He's here. It's once a year. He finally is able to come into the Kodesh Kadosh, the Holy of Holies, in this tremendous anticipation. The first time that he sprinkles, that's the most impactful and exciting and exhilarating and moving and meaningful moment for the Kohen Gadol. But once it's already the second time, it loses its impact. And therefore, the first time is Lamaila, he sprinkles upward. The second time, he can't hold on to that feeling, so he sprinkles downward. So I was thinking that the reason why he says, Achas v'achas achas v'shayim, why does he have to keep on repeating that he sprinkled up, and then 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, is because even though after the first time, he no longer feels the same exhilaration as he did in the initial sprinkling, but he always has to remember it, because he always has to the memory of the first time, even the memory inspires him. The nostalgic emotion of that Rabbi Soloveitchik always talks about, to hold on to it, something in the past that was so moving and so meaningful, and therefore each time even though he's now at a lower level, lower madrega, and he's not able to sprinkle up, he has to sprinkle down 2, 3, 4. But each time he says achas achas. Oh, I remember the first achas, achas time. Oh, I remember the first time I sprinkled up, even though now I'm sprinkling down. And that's an important lesson, that we have to try to hold on to religious experiences and religious feeling that we have. But I have another thought as well, and that is that perhaps the reason why he says achas achas is because, when we do tshuva, we're focused always on the bad things that we did, all the averos and all the sins. Now it's important to do tshuva because we need to change our lives, but there's a downside to it, and that is that when a person thinks they're bad, if a person thinks they're no good, then they'll be no good. A person has to have a positive attitude, a positive view of himself. So while a person needs to remember the things that occurred during the year that were out of order, not proper, and not appropriate, but there's also a person has to remember the good things that he's accomplished. He has to remember all the positive things, all the special mitzvahs, all the terrific accomplishments in the person's life, in order to have proper balance. And therefore, even though when he's sprinkling the 7 times below that represents the fact that he's no longer inspired as he was before, and there's a certain element of disappointment and failure. But even then, he has to remember the achas, the first time when he sprinkled above. Achas v'achas, achas time. He's sprinkling the second time. It's true. He's coming short. He's sprinkling downwards. He's not sprinkling upwards anymore. But he has to remember, I accomplished the least the first time I accomplished so very much. I was thinking about this today. I just said it's my birthday. Zion Tisha is remembering my bar mitzvah. I'm not gonna tell you. Well, you probably know. It's my bar mitzvah was 61 years ago. It's a long time ago. And every year when it's my bar mitzvah, it coincides with the Seres Shuva, and I think about what exactly have I accomplished in my lifetime. And I had, as everybody, when I was younger, I had great plans, things that I wanted to do. I wanted to have mastery over all of Shas and Shulchan Aruch. I wanted to know the entire Shas by heart and the entire Shulchan Aruch and have it on my fingertips. That was my goal. That was my aspiration. I never achieved that. And it's a source of I have pangs and disappointment that I wasn't able to do that. So, but it's easy to fall into a rut and say, so many years have passed since my bar mitzvah, and I had all these grandiose plans, and they didn't materialize. So I'm a failure. So, but it's important to remember not only the things that you didn't do, but the things that you did do. Always have to remember the achas. Always have to remember. Okay, Baruch Hashem. I'm not saying I accomplished so many terrific things, but like all of us, there were a lot of good things that I did over the years. So we have to remember the times that we were able to sprinkle l'mayla, the times we were able to go up the mountain, the times we were able to accomplish terrific things. We have to remember that as well, because otherwise, if a person only focuses on the al-chait, we say we clap it, we have to do that. But if that's all we focus on, then we'll be depressed, we'll be morose, we'll be uninspired, because we'll say we're no good, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The says, a person is not allowed to think of himself as a Rasha. That's destructive if a person thinks that I'm no good. And that's one of the pitfalls that we have to be careful on Yom Noraim. It's true. We come short. It's true. We could have done things better. We could have done more kavanah. Could we spend more time learning? We could have given more tzedakah. We could have worked more on our mitzvahs. But we also, if we don't remember the good things that we've accomplished, the positive things, then we can totally lose all inspiration. Each one of us has an enormous amount to be proud of. And that's the second lesson of Achas V'Achas, that even as we're counting the Shtayim, the Shalosh, the Arba, when we're sprinkling downwards, we still have to remember the Achas, the terrific accomplishments that we were able to achieve, to be able to go upwards and the climb the mountain. I spoke last week about Miyala Bahar Hashem. We've all climbed the Har Hashem many times in our lives, and that will give us proper inspiration as we move forward in life. I wish everybody a good year, Gemar Chasim B'Tova. It should be a year of health and happiness and parnasa and nachas, and for ourselves and for all of Klal Yisrael. Thank you for listening.